In KSA, the second phase of electronic invoicing, which is also known as the integration phase, will come into effect from January 2023. Integration phase will include the introduction of new technical and business requirements for electronic invoices, and the integration of these requirements with ZATCA systems. The format in which electronic invoices must be generated will be either in XML format or as a PDF/A3 invoice file with embedded XML. The generated invoices will be transmitted to the ZATCA's platform and will be provided with a cryptographic stamp and a hash value as a universally unique identifier, UUID. While QR code was optional on B2B invoices in the generation phase, it will become mandatory from phase 2 to add QR code to e-invoices. Electronic invoices must be stored offline and locally. Since the implementation phase will be rolled out in waves, taxpayers who are under the obligation of compliance will be notified 6 months in advance by ZATCA to complete the technical requirements. All taxable persons who are subject to VAT and third parties issuing tax invoices on behalf of the taxpayers will be under the scope of the regulations. In this working demo, create XML UBL 2.1 format or a PDF/A3 format, creating verified certificates, shared certificates from server and testing of new QR VAT scanner. In QR code creation. For electronic tax invoices, it is mandatory to generate and print QR code encoded in base64 format with up to 500 characters that must contain the fields specified in the below table as per Annex 2 of the controls, requirements, technical specifications, and procedural rules for implementing the provisions of the e-invoicing regulation. Tags: 1. Seller's name. 2. VAT registration number of the seller. 3. Timestamp of the invoice, date and time, in accordance with ISO 8601. 4. Invoice total, with VAT. 5. VAT total. 4. Tag 6 hash of XML invoice. Length of hash, SHA-256, is 32 bytes. Value, the byte array constituting the value of the field. 7. Exa signature of the XML hash. The public key blob format contains only the public portion of an exa key used to generate the cryptographic stamp. Length of the public key blob for a 256-bit key is 64 bytes, 72 bytes including magic number and field length information on some systems. An exa signature encoded according to IEEE P1363. This signature format encodes the R.S. tuple as the concatenation of the Big-endian representation of R and the Big-endian representation of S. Each of these values is encoded using the number of bytes required to encode the maximum integer value in the key's mathematical field. For example, an exa signature from 256-bit elliptic curves, like SEC256K1, encodes each of R and S as 32 bytes, and produces a signature output of 64 bytes. 8. Exa public key extracted from the signing private key. 9. For simplified tax invoices and their associated notes, the exa signature of the cryptographic stamps issued by ZATCA's technical CA. This QR code generator in Phase 2 and a open source for integration are available from ArraTech version for inflow inventory system and QuickBook accounting. 4 programming languages: VB.NET, VB Script, Visual Basic 6.0, .NET Core C#, Android, C, C++, Delphi ActiveX, Java, Node.js, PHP ActiveX, PHP extension, Perl, PowerBuilder, PowerShell, Pure Basic, Ruby, SQL Server, Swift 2, Swift 3 to new version, Unicode C, Unicode C++, Visual FOXPRO. Please contact email information below. Best regards, ArraTech. Bye bye now.